Are you preparing to take the Praxis Core Writing Exam? Well, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Praxis Test Prep channel. I'm Elizabeth, a college professor and test prep expert with Study.com. We're proud to partner with ETS, the official provider of the Praxis exams, to bring you the most accurate and up-to-date information straight from the source. By the end of this video, you'll have all the essential details, expert strategies, and the confidence you need to pass this exam and take the next step in your teaching career. Ready? Let's jump in. If you're an aspiring teacher, then chances are you need to pass the Praxis Core Writing Exam before working full-time. Many colleges and universities require the Praxis Core Test Suite as part of the admissions process in their teacher preparation programs. And if you don't take it, then many states will require it before granting you your teaching license. So what can you expect from Praxis Core Writing specifically? This exam ensures you can write clearly, construct well-supported arguments, and apply proper grammar, word choice, and research techniques that'll be crucial throughout your teaching career. The exam is computer delivered and lasts 100 minutes in total, with 3 separately timed sections. The test begins with a 40-minute selected response section featuring 40 questions on grammar, sentence structure, and research skills. Next is the 30-minute argumentative essay, where you'll defend a position using personal experience and observations with clear reasoning and examples. The final 30-minute source-based essay asks you to analyze 2 provided sources and then compare and contrast them as you explore a key issue in an objective and organized manner. Understanding the test format lets you know what to expect on test day, so let's start with the selected response section. The selected response section consists of multiple choice questions that assess your understanding of grammar usage, sentence structure, writing conventions, and research skills. We will dive into the specific question types later in this video, but generally, you will be asked to read a sentence or short passage and then review it for errors, identify opportunities to improve the writing, or assess the writing for credibility and relevance. Make sure to read each question in full to ensure that you know what the test is asking for. As an example, questions may switch between asking you to identify a grammatical mistake and asking you to choose the option that is most grammatically correct. Another quick tip is to read the sentence and answer choices out loud to yourself. Often you will automatically stumble or hesitate over mistakes or odd wording, and you should trust your own ear. Remember, the best way to write something is generally the simplest and most straightforward. Finally, don't forget the time constraints. You only get 40 minutes for 40 questions in this section, which is just 1 minute per question. Try and stick to this time limit for each question and move on if a question is stumping you. You can always come back to it before time is up, and worst case, make sure to guess. There is no penalty for wrong answers on the Praxis, and answering every question gives you the best chances of improving your score. The other 2/3 of the test is made up of 2 separate writing tasks or essays. You will be asked to write both an argumentative essay and a source-based essay, and will be given 30 minutes for each. More details on each of these essays later on in the video, but you should expect to see the directions and essay topic on the top half of your screen, with the bottom half designated for your response. Always start by reading the directions in full, as well as reviewing the provided sources for the source-based essay specifically. You'll also need to type the essays out in an on-screen text box, so make sure that you're comfortable using a keyboard. And don't forget, you won't have the benefit of a spell check system, so it's important to proofread your responses carefully before submitting them, so your writing is as polished and professional as possible. Another quick tip here is to make a quick outline before typing out your full response. The essay sections demand your top-notch planning and writing skills since you're working against the clock, and starting with an outline will help you to stay organized. All right, now that we've outlined the format of the test, let's talk about how you will be scored. The Praxis Core Writing Exam is scored on a scale of 100 to 200, and a passing score is generally 162. However, score requirements vary by state, so always check your specific state's guidelines on praxis.ets.org. I've linked to the specific page in the description. The ETS keeps their scoring logic confidential, even from us. However, a good rule of thumb is to take your state's passing score, subtract 100, and then treat the resulting number as a percent. That means if your passing score requirement is 162, you can roughly assume that you need to get at least 62% of the questions correct in order to pass. For the selected response section, this is straightforward. This section accounts for about 50% of your overall score and is entirely multiple choice. So out of the 40 questions, you should be aiming to get at least 25 correct. Let's talk about the scoring for the 2 essays in the constructed response section, because those also make up about 50% of your total score and are a bit less straightforward. Your essays are read and evaluated by a minimum of 2 experienced teachers, and each essay receives 1 score for its overall quality based on ETS's scoring rubric, where the lowest score is 1 and the highest is 6. If the 2 reviewers are within 1 point of each other, then you get the higher of the 2 scores. But if they disagree, then a 3rd reviewer is brought in to settle the difference. To pass, you should be aiming to score a minimum of 4 on both essays. A score of 4 on the argumentative essay requires you to demonstrate competency, but not mastery, by providing a clear thesis that is supported by a series of developed, organized, and relatively well-written supporting points. Your essay should be also largely free of grammatical or spelling errors. However, some mistakes are allowed. In general, your aim should be to present a clear central argument supported by strong, relevant evidence and logical reasoning. You should use real-world examples or well-reasoned analogies. Also, try to incorporate smooth transitions to connect ideas, and use varied sentence structures to enhance readability and persuasiveness. A score of 4 on the source-based essay requires you to demonstrate competency, but not mastery, by summarizing both sources and identifying the key information in each. You will also be expected to incorporate your own experience into your evaluation of the sources. You will need to cite each source when referencing them. However, mistakes are allowed in the exact citation format. Your aim should be to accurately capture the point each source is trying to make. Strong responses demonstrate the ability to paraphrase main ideas effectively, using direct quotes only when necessary, and ensuring proper attribution. Your essay should also be logically structured with smooth transitions, precise vocabulary, and fluent sentence structure. Remember, time is limited, so always start by creating a bullet point outline to organize your ideas before writing your essay. And don't focus on being perfect. The reviewers care more about a fully developed and completed response than they do about the exact wording of individual sentences. Before we head over to the content breakdown, let's go over some important test policies you need to know before taking the Praxis Core Writing Exam. First, you won't be allowed to bring grammar guides, style manuals, or dictionaries. There won't be word processing tools like spell checks and grammar checks either, so it's important to proofread your responses carefully before submitting them. This may seem obvious for a test setting, but things like autocorrect have become so common in our everyday lives that it's important to remember you won't have this crutch to lean on for test day. Second, to help with outlining on the essay sections, you are allowed to ask for scratch paper if you're at the testing center. If you're taking the test from home, be sure to check ETS guidelines for what materials are allowed during the test, as this can be a bit more complicated. And make sure to double check with your specific proctor once you log on. All right, let's take a closer look at what the Praxis Core Writing Exam covers. The selected response section is entirely multiple choice and is made up of roughly 4 question types, and you can expect about 10 questions of each type on test day. First are revision and context questions. These questions ask you to read a larger passage and then evaluate individual sentences from it for their effectiveness. When revising sentences, your goal should be to maintain style, tone, and meaning, but improve clarity and conciseness. Second are usage questions. These questions test your ability to identify correct grammar, punctuation, word usage, and sentence structure errors. In each question, you will be shown a sentence with 4 underlined portions. Your job is to decide which part contains an error and select the corresponding answer. If no errors exist, you'll choose the no error option. Third are sentence correction questions. These questions assess your ability to recognize and correct errors in grammar, sentence structure, word choice, and clarity. These questions evaluate your understanding of standard written English and require you to select the best revision of an underlined portion in a sentence. In each question, you will be shown a sentence with a specific part underlined. Below the sentence, you'll find 4 or 5 answer choices. The first option will generally repeat the original wording, while the others will provide alternative versions. Your task is to determine the best choice, and remember, sometimes the best choice is to stick with the original wording. Fourth are research skills questions. These questions assess your familiarity with basic research skills and will test your ability to evaluate source materials, identify credible references, and recognize proper citation methods. All right, that covers the selected response section. The other main section of the exam is comprised of 2 essay questions. The first essay is the argumentative essay. You'll be given a prompt on a modern-day issue and then asked to take a clear position. You will need to support your stance with logical reasoning and relevant examples from your own personal experience. You will also be expected to develop a strong thesis statement, organize your ideas coherently, such as by using an introduction, body, and conclusion, and use logical and supporting details effectively. The second essay is the source-based essay. Here you'll be asked to read 2 short passages on a given topic and write an objective, well-organized response that summarizes and integrates key ideas from both sources. Generally, the 2 sources will disagree in some fundamental way, and you're expected to compare and contrast their viewpoints. You will be expected to identify and summarize main ideas from both sources and cite evidence properly. Unlike the argumentative essay, you will also be expected to summarize the information without bias or opinion, and focus on what the 2 authors of the 2 sources are stating as opposed to how you feel about them. Check out our Praxis Core Writing playlist for videos that walk through authentic practice problems and essay prompts and provide you with sample step-by-step answers. Now that you know what to expect, how do you set yourself up for success? I recommend starting with a practice test so you see where you currently stand. This will also allow you to personalize your study plan to help you stay on track and focus on the areas where you need the most help, ensuring that you cover all necessary content without feeling overwhelmed. Study.com offers full-length practice tests and diagnostic quizzes that help identify your strengths and pinpoint areas where you need improvement. That way you'll have a clear roadmap for your study plan. And regardless of how or where you are practicing, try to practice like it's the real test. This means sticking to your time limits and limiting yourself to the resources that you will have available on test day. Remember, preparation isn't just about learning the content, it's also about mastering the test-taking strategies and building the confidence to succeed on test day. And that's a wrap. Your ultimate guide to acing the Praxis 5723 Core Academic Skills for Educators Writing Exam. For more detailed practice, strategies, and walkthroughs, check out our Praxis Core Writing playlist here on YouTube, and then make your way over to study.com and check out one of our Praxis test prep courses. Our users boast a 92% pass rate, and our courses include full-length exams, hundreds of practice questions, and additional video lessons specifically tailored to the latest test updates. With our resources, you'll know exactly what to expect on test day. If you found this video helpful, be sure to like and subscribe. Got questions or want to share your progress? Drop a comment below. We'd love to hear from you. Remember, we're rooting for you every step of the way. You've got this. Thanks for watching and happy studying.